Go ahead.
We want to welcome everyone to the Centerville City Council meeting being held here on January 20th, 2026 at Centerville City Hall. We welcome anybody that's joined by Zoom, anybody that's in attendance, staff, council members. We had a previous work session with our elected delegation. 4 of our 2 senators and 2 representatives represent us, and we had 3 of the 4 here with us, and it was a very productive meeting. Well, let's do a roll call to make sure we can conduct business tonight.
Meekum present.
Bangeter present.
Heeman present.
Hurst present.
Plummer present.
All 5 council members present. Thank you, council members, for being here tonight. We'll start with a legislative prayer of thought from Councilwoman Gina Hurst.
Thank you very much. I'm sure that many of you know that Gary Hill is the city manager at Bountiful City. He also serves in a church capacity that sometimes runs alongside my husband's church responsibilities. And he sent this text out last night to several stakes through several of the cities along the Wasatch Front. I wanted to share it. If you're of a religious nature, I think there are some things that we can do with this concern, but if you're all right, let me read it and then I'll explain a little bit more. Some of you might know I work as the city manager for Bountiful City. The city's water director also lives in our stake. We are concerned about the critical lack of snow in our mountains this winter. The Bountiful City Water Department reports that we have only 8 inches of snow at the peak and are below the lowest point on record for this time of year. To add to that, the snowpack we have is already melting. The city's water treatment plant is seeing more than double the normal amount of runoff for this time of year. I plan to invite the members of the Bountiful South Stake to hold a special fast on February 1st to ask the Lord to bless us with snow and a change of weather. We believe that the Lord can do all things, but that we must sometimes humbly ask for his help. We would be grateful if any of you choose to join us. Please feel no obligation. I'm certain that each of you have many priorities on your mind. The reason that I wanted to bring that up is I think it is easy to sometimes forget because of planning by people that came before us and built incredible water storage that we do live in a desert, and this drought this year is particularly bad. So I guess what I am saying is I wanted you to be aware of what is being asked of the churches, and I'd like to actually get this out to the other churches in our community, which I'll take the responsibility to do, but as city council members, I thought it would be helpful. I know that there's power in praying together as a community for the things that we need, and with that, I'd like to offer a prayer. Our dear kind Father in heaven, we are so grateful for the many blessings that thou hast bestowed upon us. We're grateful for this opportunity that we have to live in this community, that we have wonderful staff, first responders, and others who care for this community as their own. We're grateful for the many people that live here and take care of each other. We ask thee, Father, at this time for a blessing upon us this evening, that we'll be able to have thy guidance and help in making decisions for our city. We also ask thee if thou will consider bringing us snow pack that we need so that we can make it through the summer. We know that thou canst do all things, and we ask thee for that now. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Councilman Hurst. If you could get that out to me for sure by next Tuesday, because I'm meeting with the new pastor over here at the
Absolutely.
church, so
Yeah.
next Tuesday morning.
Okay.
And of course, the Reverend Pancratz is a resident of our city too, at the big
Yeah.
church on the west side, so thank you. If you'd all rise with me and repeat the pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now it's the open session. This is the opportunity for any member of the public to come up and speak what's on their mind. As I've tried to do for the last bit, these are things that we may or address later. We cannot address at this meeting, other than maybe answering a simple question, because the public has not been made aware of it. And following our Open Meetings Act from 2 weeks ago. So that session is now open. If anybody is so inclined to speak, just state your name and where you're from. Seeing nobody here, is there anybody online? Seeing nobody online, we will move on from the open session. Our first business item is relates to a city property acquisition, the Hillside property from the Utah State Rifle and Pistol Association. And I just want to give Brant and Lisa an opportunity to fill in more of what, in addition to you had in your packet.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So approximately a year ago, when we were meeting with the Centerville Small Arms Association to discuss the renewal of the lease, Larry Scanlon had kind of taken over as the president temporarily. And Larry and I had the opportunity to meet and discuss, and he had mentioned there's some property that the Utah State Rifle and Pistol Association owns up there next to the parking for the trailhead on its way up to the gun range of 0.89 acres, and he had expressed interest in letting go of that property. We didn't discuss specifics at the time. I did some research to determine the meets and bounds and if there's any interest of the city to acquire it. So some time passed, and ultimately Larry and I reconnected on this issue, and he is interested in donating this parcel of land, 0.89 acres, to the city. So what before you is, the only request he had was helping cover the property taxes for the upcoming year. So ultimately we had a verbal agreement, and what's in the agreement here, the quitclaim deed, is $100 to acquire this property. Currently we are in the process of conducting a phase 1 assessment, which we do for our due diligence in all properties we acquire to understand if there's any contaminations we need to worry about. So that is ongoing right now, but the hope is staff recommends approval of this this acquisition or accepting of this donation pending the outcome of the phase 1 assessment coming back clean. If there are any challenges with that, then we'll need to have a separate conversation, but we anticipate we won't have any issues with this one. Anything I missed, Lisa? No. Okay.
Brent, I'm curious, does that $100 cover the entirety of their property taxes, or are we just helping?
$60 is what Larry had shared with me is the property taxes for this year. So ultimately, I propose 100. Just if there's any change in there or any costs, then we'll take care of that.
Any questions for Brant or Lisa on this? Any concerns on with the stipulation?
With the exception of the environmental, potential issues, does anyone on staff have any other concerns about that property?
No concerns.
Okay.
Can I ask a clarifying question with regard to the environmental assessment and title work coming back as acceptable? I believe that's acceptable by city attorney, by city staff, by who, acceptable to whom?
We'll make a city attorney for funsies. Yeah, we can.
I'll be looking at the title work, just basically going,
Ultimately, it would be Kevin Campbell who reviews it and gives his recommendation.
Okay, great.
yeah, and if there's any red flags, we will bring those back to the
Right.
Okay.
And Larry is fully aware of this conversation tonight. He's not available, but agrees with that. So we'll wait for the phase 1 assessment to come back before we sign and accept the donation.
But a lot of property up there is subject to various easements. Sometimes they're blanket easements, but again, to me, that would still be acceptable when we're getting property donated to us.
Right.
It's currently outside of city boundaries. Is that something that we're going to consider changing or maintaining?
Oh, it's adjacent to our 160 acres. We haven't really thought. I mean, it's not an issue if we wanted to consider bringing that in city boundaries. We could. I guess we haven't really thought that far ahead yet.
I do think, just from what I've heard from people in the community, this access to our mountainside seems to be a priority, and for that reason, I think this is a really generous donation and also a good one from the fact that it helps us to continue to maintain that people can access the open space.
Right.
Thank you. Hearing no further questions, I'll look for a motion on this.
I move that we accept donation of 0.89 acres of hillside property from the Utah State Rifle and Pistol Association consisting of parcel number 02-051-0004, conditioned upon staff review of environmental assessment and title work prior to final acceptance, with an authorization granted to Mayor Wilkinson to sign recording documents if environmental assessment and title work are acceptable to staff.
I'll second.
Thank you. Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Councilwoman Meekum will take a vote, starting from you to the right.
Aye.
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 Thank you. That motion passed unanimously, 5-0. Okay, let's go to business item number 2. This is city council's appointments to boards and committees. And that was sent out to you beforehand, but let me give you some thought process on this, and also some suggestion or what our resolutions say before I get into a lot of details on it. First off, any of our committees and boards, remember that if you're appointed to it, that you are a liaison, you're not a voting member, okay? They're just like us. They have a 7-person committee or board. They do a chair and a vice chair. They vote. We are there to be of assistance and guides to them. You get to be like me when you go to those meetings where you don't get to vote, okay? But we definitely want that guidance from the city for them. We also have a staff appointed. Generally, it's a staff that relates to what they're doing, like we'll put Mike with Parks and Recs and Bruce with Streets. Oh, sorry, vice versa. But we try and get a staff member that's knows what they're doing as well too with them. So just be supportive. Remember that you're not necessarily influencing policy there as much as you do here when you vote. So that's number one. Number 2 on this list is all of these are I suggest and you approve, other than Centerville City Council Mayor Pro Tem. That Mayor Pro Tem is actually, I've suggested Councilwoman Meekum, but that is, I've just gone through who has done it and who hasn't. And that is actually something that the council determines who they want to be the Mayor Pro Tem. So I guess you could put up nominations potentially for another one if, in addition to Councilwoman Meekum. So, but that's what I put down, okay? Number 3, you'll notice a glaring admission from Landmarks Commission, okay, where I've not assigned anybody there. Let me just say with Landmarks Commission, it has its purpose. It's been very active years ago, but for the last 4 years, the 6 members, or 7 members I had, the Landmarks Commission, have really not had anything to do. Landmarks Commission they were doing historical programs for our city. They were approving state historical buildings. The legislature requires that you have some sort of board to do that. It can be either be like a Landmarks Commission, or it can be the city council that can do that. Now, I had a member of the Whitaker Museum come back to me that works with Lisa on the grants, and she had got wind that I was going to talk about this, and she seemed to be fine. They were going to structure their grants as if there potentially wasn't a Landmarks Commission. Now, one thing a boss told me years ago, he said, you got to have things for people to do at the end of the day. When Friday afternoon comes, if they don't feel fulfilled in their job, they're they're gonna leave it. So unless I can be persuaded personally, but this isn't my decision, it's you guys as council. But me personally, I mean, that was a big thing for me. And if, I need to, when I ask somebody to serve on a committee or a board or a commission, that know that they're going to feel that they have something to do. So I just see some overcrossing there. If I had it my way, I'd rename the Whitaker to something like the historic Whitaker and Historical Homes Board or something like that, you know, and combine those two together. So that's why you don't see anything in Landmarks Commission. But I also realize that just as the tree board was put in since I've been mayor, and you vote for that, that's a decision and discussion we have as council too. That's not something I can do. And so obviously that discussion is now open to you. If we determine that we are keeping the Landmarks Commission, then I'm going to have to appoint somebody else to that, and I'm also going to have to review the members we have it. So that's my thought process. Hopefully you can see why I'm thinking that way. I'm not trying to persuade you one way or another. I know my feeling on it, but that's my thought process on it. And so I would look for some thought from you as well too on that. You know, because I want to make sure you understand what you're voting for before we vote on this whole thing. So, any thoughts
Can I
on
just ask,
that or anything else I brought up?
can I just ask, who's been on the Landmarks Commission from the council?
I have.
Do you have any input or any feeling, Brian, from your service? Or?
Well, I believe that it does serve a good purpose for the city. It identifies those places in our community that have historic significance, and then can go through a process that will place that on a national register. That is something that preserves our history and our community. And so I think that it is something that is worthy of keeping. Now, can it be made better? Or we had always talked about a closer relationship with the Whitaker board. When we were on the commission, it seemed like our goals and our missions kind of went parallel with each other. So I think that would be something that would be to consider as we talk about it. Is I don't think the added work from the Landmarks Commission would add too much to the Whitaker, although that may be out of something that I don't actually have a lot of experience with, because the Whitaker does have a lot of activities and things that they do out throughout the year, and adding one more or a couple more things that they need to do would maybe require a larger board or more people to serve at that particular place. But I think that I had actually requested to be on this, as you know, Mayor, because I would like to see it brought back in some form.
Thank you for the input, Councilman Palmer. Other thoughts? I mean, yeah, I want to hear your thoughts. It's
I can see both sides. I wasn't assigned to it, but I attended it for somebody else for a while. Council member that couldn't make it, and it was when we were doing Ron Randall's gas station. So it was the Landmarks Commission that took that on. They got a grant, and then they, have somebody do all the research with that grant, and they bring it back. And then it's submitted to the state, and he was made a historic site, which I thought was very important, because there's a lot of people that really care about that gas station. There are houses. I was there when one house was done, and I was a little, but then others have been really good. So I'd like to see it carried on if we're going to take it to the Whitaker, that we still try and get that grant, and we still pick one every year. The other problem was, you pick Ron's gas station, and then there's really not a lot to do until this person who is hired to do the work comes back, and they present to you, and you say yes, and you send it to the state. So as the mayor said, there's not a lot of work to be done. So I'm hoping that the Whitaker Museum will be able to take that on and get the grant and continue to do what was happening, because there wasn't a lot of work for the Landmarks Commission. It was, 2 or 3 really good meetings. A year was really about the only work that they had.
From my perspective, having been the liaison to the Whitaker for the last 2 years, it's a terrific group of people that really care about the history of Centerville. That feels like a good fit for me. I mean, I'd certainly want to talk to them to make sure that they are comfortable doing that, but all the people that I worked with, I think would be terrific at taking on that type of a role.
One question I have, Mr. Mayor, with the Landmarks Commission, when you designate a historic building, what's the role of the city in maintaining that designation? And I ask that because if we're really trying to preserve and the city wants to get involved in protecting and preserving our history, then are there ordinances or codes we should put in place? And in the city of Yuma, we are very strict about the designations we had. We had different historic districts throughout the city, but you had certain aesthetic that you had to maintain your historic status. So you couldn't come in, if you wanted to change your roof, you had to get approval for this design review commission to review anything you want to do with your property, whether it's outside or inside. That's how serious Yuma took, this Landmark Commission idea of a historic building. Just calling it historic is one thing, but is the city wanting to take on a greater role to preserve that historic nature, or can anybody come in and buy it and then change it? Because we don't have any codes protecting that. So I'm just saying, if you're going all in on it, then that's kind of where you start having to go, is saying, we really want to protect it, and we're going to make it really strict for you to make any changes to your home.
So that was some of the people's concern when we just met willy-nilly and we picked, Rick Bangerter's house, and we did this, we went to him and said, we're hiring somebody to do this, and their first thing is, are you going to tell me what to do?
Yeah.
Are you going to?
That's what you should be doing.
And so you won't have people that will put their houses on it, because obviously people don't want their property rights taken away from them. And so I think we would just do ourselves a disservice, because the houses that we were trying to preserve, just some of the historic stories and one of the houses I was really surprised they did it, had a huge addition that was less than attractive. And so, but that was the thing. Yes, you can do my house, but don't try and tell me what I can or cannot do.
Exactly. So that's what's great. I mean, we can look and recognize the history, but at the same time, how far do we want to go as a city in preserving or protecting that history?
Well,
That's what you have to
and
say.
that is the balance of private property versus what we have done here as putting something on the National Register. When we proposed on the Landmarks Commission the historic district, it was very much discussed, and we came to the conclusion that we wanted to make the development or the design for that area more guidelines than rules. And maybe that was something that is something that we have looked at for these individual parcels as well, is that we can provide guidelines for these historic places, but trying to assert some sort of ordinance or rules as to how they can change their property is kind of a governmental
They can still do
overreach.
whatever they want, but you still try to say, look, we encourage you to keep it like this. And there's
Well,
nothing wrong with that. I
in
think
order
that's
to encourage that, we have implemented, I think, if I'm right on this, Mike, but I said it right the first time, now it can't come out, implemented an incentive so that there's fee reductions and stuff. If you do live in the historic district and you are going to do a remodel, there are fee reductions with the city in our building permits and stuff. If you do it, that keeps it that way. So we have tried to do an incentive with that, which I feel like is good. It still gives people their choice, but there is a little bit of an incentive, a little bit of a push to try and keep it more.
I guess that's where I'd argue that the Landmarks Commission really has value if you're really trying to implement or maintain or monitor any changes. Again, just from my perspective, I think Whitaker could, I mean, if they were willing to, could handle national registry type things and encourage, I don't think it's a lot, but if we wanted to, as a city, take it to another step and have these districts and make design standards of what you can and can't do, then for sure, a volunteer committee or board would be very helpful in helping guide that. But
And
we-
that is
we
one
don't-
thing
we
that they
don't go
did
all
was
in.
the historic district that was, very beneficial to the city.
Yeah.
The one thing I'm concerned about with what my proposal is can the Whitaker vote on something that we find it's a historical house, or does it have to be us? And the reason I bring that up is Whitaker is our only committee or board that allows non-Centerville residents to be on their board. Okay, and so there are two non-Centerville residents on the Whitaker Museum Board. So if they can't vote on it, even though they might be finding the older houses in the registry, we would be voting on that, and that would be fine. But I thought about that just this week, that we do, that Whitaker does allow, and we have right now one from Farmington, one from Bountiful on the board. That's not a Centerville resident, so.
It seems like that could be quickly resolved, though, if they would just become a recommending body to us, then it cuts a lot of the work out for the city council. To go ahead and confirm their recommendation.
Yeah.
So that's the purpose, and I will say, since I've been here, there has been one that the mayor and I, if I can speak for you, Mayor, sorry, that we were kind of surprised about, that something was added to the National Register, and we had no knowledge of it, and neither did the council have knowledge of that. And that's, many of these boards are advisory or recommending bodies, and I think that's really the intent of Whitaker as well. And so there needs to be a little bit better communication between the two. Sorry, not Whitaker, but Landmarks Commission, that should have been the intent, was a recommending this and that register, you as a council approve it, say, yeah, let's go for it. But we didn't see that in our meetings, which, I don't know if you were on the board at the time, but.
Probably was.
But again, I just think the council should have been notified of that recommendation. But yeah, we see it, and go ahead and sign here, it's like, wait, what are we signing here? So,
This was a recent one?
this was about 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a while.
It was the gas station,
It was the
I
guy.
think it could have been Ron Rambo's.
That was purposely done.
and I did that.
That was purposely done, is that what you said? So,
It was
I
purposely
don't
done.
was
retire
purpose.
being Ron.
I mean, it's purpose, but again, is that violating the intent of the board or commission and recommending, as a recommending body to the council, whether it was purposely done or not? It really shouldn't have been the process taking, at least outlined for the process.
Sorry.
So Robin, this assignment would fall to you as the recommended museum board member. Are you comfortable with that and the workload it might increase upon you?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that it's okay with the Whitaker Museum. I don't want to speak for them because I've never been on it, I've never met with them. If we talk to them and they say, whoa, we've got more than we can handle, we don't want any more, then I think we need to respect that.
But also, they're the ones who benefit. One of the big reasons why we have landmarks is the CLG grant, and they're the ones who benefit from the CLG grant. So I
And will
think
it mess it up not to have the landmarks and the Whitaker? Do we need both of those in order to get that grant?
No, no, you need one one organization or committee that recognizes the history of a city. And again, as Councilmember Plummer stated, they're kind of apropos, they're crossing over, they're doing similar goals and objectives. That I think they kind of align perfectly with each other. And again, they benefit from the money we get from the state when we do get the grant, so just put in a little effort to get that free money, I guess. So, I mean, we're not asking for a lot unless this council wants to go bigger with the historic side, then we might need a landmarks commission to step in to help.
Well,
with
I think that there are a few places that I just think of off the top of my head that have kind of, they need to be identified and recognized by the National Register here in the next few years so that we can have them recognized and at least preserved in the best way that a property owner would care to do so. And So I think that it would be important to get this going as soon as possible. And if it means just maybe restructuring the Whitaker or the Landmarks Commission underneath that umbrella, that might be a way to do so.
Okay, so for the time being, like I said, I don't have everybody pointed to that. I guess if you're not prepared to say, yes, this is the direction we're going to go tonight, fine, but I want to get right on it within my next meeting, make that determination. If you feel as the chair of Whitaker, you want to talk to them, like I said, I had a couple of them approach me to know how they should write their grant, and I'd said, yeah, I'm thinking about doing it, but council has to approve it, you know, so I don't know whether, what, is it fair to say that we don't take a vote then on dissolving Landmark, combining them and deny it, or are you ready to take a vote?
I'd be ready to include that in the motion to approve these appointments.
But does that impact you wanting to go and ask them how they feel?
I think we should pass all of these, but leave that so that they at least feel like they were consulted before it.
That's what I'm worried about
I-
too.
I would
Just
like to-
it-
I would like to
It doesn't
hear
hurt to
them.
have that conversation,
Right,
right?
I just think they'd be more of a buy-in if they're asked up front than told what it's gonna be.
And I think it will require ordinance amendments, and we haven't really noticed this as a specific item on our agenda, so I think it would be,
Be best not to do.
you know, but if you want to give staff direction to start looking into that, but we will need to amend both our municipal code and our zoning code. Because the duties of the Landmark Commission are in the zoning code, but referenced in our municipal code.
Okay, you want to get back with that, on the legal on this, do you want to talk to Whitaker? If you want me to talk with them as well too, let me know. Happy to.
Yeah, and let me know how that goes, and then we'll prepare some ordinance amendments that way, sort of making the Landmarks Commission a subcommittee of, so that they have all duties that the current Landmark Commission, we're just going to put that in there as basically additional authority.
I think so.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, thanks. Let me bring up two other things. Okay, I did something unique this time around, in that I did shared responsibilities on two items, or two boards, committees, whatever we want to call them. I have Councilmember Bangeter and myself on Chamber of Commerce, and I have Councilwoman Hurst and Councilman Plummer on Parks and Rec committee. The reason I did that is both of us are interested in economic development chamber stuff, and the Parks and Rec are in the middle of a Parks and Rec master plan, and I know Councilwoman Hurst has been involved with that, and Councilman Plummer, we could get him going as well too, and maybe it takes a little burden off of myself and Councilwoman Hurst as well too, with assigning her the South Davis Rec District, which is an ongoing, difficult assignment. That's the one I struggle with the most, and that's what I proposed. Myself, because I'm not sharing anything this year outside of here. I'm not chairing the fire board, I'm not chairing COG, I'm not chairing waste management. I did take on a couple more responsibilities through COG with appointments with Wasatch Front Regional Council, which I'd never done before, but I thought I probably need to stay involved on what's going on that side to bring back to you guys. And so I've taken a couple more things there as well too. But so I think I've covered everything that I wanted to bring up. So questions from you on any of this?
I do think there is, let me make sure, never mind, there's not, I thought I saw a typo, but there's not, apologize. Just checking
Robin, how do you feel about being pro tem? I'm fully supportive, but I want to make sure you're okay with it before we just
I'm fine with
coach
it.
in.
Oh, I'm fine with it.
Fantastic.
You'll be great.
Appreciate the mayor having the
Can I just,
confidence to do it. No, go ahead.
Sure.
can I just ask, on a clarification on the numbers here? Performing Arts Center, Gina, it shows that you started there on 1/16/2018. Is that the correct date? Okay.
No.
That was probably just a typo.
So I'll tell you exactly what that is, because I have the sheet. I crossed out Mayor Clark Wilkinson, and that's when I started on there, and so that's why that's in there.
And I didn't correct it, so I'll fix
Yeah.
that. Thanks for pointing that
I was
out.
gonna say, I don't know that I have been on the I don't know that I've been on that control board. I might have been one of the non-representatives before.
You were not on it. We had myself, we had Councilman Summerhays, we had Councilwoman Hayman, and Councilwoman Meekum on it before. Now here we have Hurst and Plummer as the city representatives, and Hayman and Bangeter as the RDA representatives.
Are those voting positions, Mayor?
They are, uh-huh. One, and I thought about keeping myself on it, but I'm also, which is not part of this, it's outside of this, on the Centerpoint Theater Board, and the things that you'll vote on, I vote on a lot of times as a member of the board there as well too, so it just gives you as RDA members more opportunities to vote. And technically, you guys are directors of the board, of the RDA board, and I'm not a director of the RDA board, just like, or a voting director like you guys are, so that's why I went that direction. Okay, so you'll fix that date on that, Jennifer? Any other typos, dates? Good pickup, Councilman Banger.
Can I ask, I mean, it does say that the current term expiration, it was probably a 4-year term, but my term will end before 2030. And so there was a couple areas where it shows that my term will end.
Oh, no, you've been involuntarily extended.
I see. Which is,
You're
but
on the
it was
sheet. That's
28
final.
a couple of times, and it's 2030 on a couple areas as well, so just.
I think those are 4-year terms, if you don't run again, or, you know,
Then we'll have
I
to-
lose in an election, then it would be obviously be
reappoint.
reappointed.
exactly.
Very good.
Yeah.
I'll just go with that one.
This
Yeah.
list generally comes back to the council every 2 years anyways to get updated.
It does.
So if you don't rerun for council and somebody else fills that position, we just change the date.
Very good. So other than
Okay.
that, I actually appreciate the mayor for taking the time and consideration with my thoughts and suggestions. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I think I covered everything. Did I miss anything?
Looks great.
Any
Thank
more
you.
questions? So I guess this is it's a resolution 2026-01, first resolution for the year, so I guess we're looking for a motion on it. Are we okay, Lisa, because they include Mayor Pro Tem with it?
I think if
sounds
they
like
approve that
they're
as part of
okay
the
with it, so,
resolution,
okay.
you can state that in your motion, including the appointment of the mayor.
Okay. I can make a motion that we approve resolution number 2026-01, as well as that we appoint Councilmember Robin Meekum as the mayor pro tem.
Second.
The motion is second. Further discussion?
I do have one thing. Jennifer, there is another date that's a mistake. My appointment to the South Davis Sewer Board, I'm not sure that was 2024-02. I was appointed in like November of 2022. or possibly.
This resolution number, you mean?
which one?
Oops.
Yeah, so,
South Davis Sewer.
yeah, so that date of 2/1/2021, that's not,
That was probably your predecessor's
My-
date, huh?
well, the predecessor was my dad,
Yeah,
and he was on it for 26 years, so I don't know when his date was, but it
Oh.
was a long time ago. But, I think it was November of 22, or, I think it
Okay,
was,
I will-
I'm pretty sure it was November of 22.
and then you did another
About
year.
the starting date for that appointment.
Well, yeah, I think the
21.
starting date was 22. So, and that is I think I know the city does the resolution, I think that's what they planned on too.
Were
was
you
4
filling a
years.
term, or did that term start in 21?
I think they reappointed me, at the expiration of that term, but I'll have to check.
Okay, we can look into that. So you just you want me to double check on your first appointed date? Is that right? Or
Yeah, I know that 2/1/21 is not right, because I wasn't on city council in 21.
okay.
I started in 22. I know that date's not right, but
Yeah.
I think it was, there's probably, I know we talked about it in, like, there was an action in city council, but I would guess around October or November.
Okay.
Your present term on that did start though in 24, is that correct on there?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that looks like a correct, because that would have been your reappointed.
So maybe the
4-year
resolution's
term.
okay, it's just that original date. I don't know that it's I don't know that that's that significant, but maybe helpful to the mayor from.
I don't think
So
I
it looks like-
changed that one. I think that was what was on there before.
So Resolution 2022-28, appointing Gina Hurst to the South Davis Sewer District Board of Trustees for the remainder of D.C. Hanson's 4-year term, commencing on February 1, 2021, and concluding on January 2, 2024.
We must have that date wrong though, because she didn't come in till 22. Yeah, that's
Oh, yeah.
true.
Is it
Well, this
possible?
was passed on, November 15th, 2022. So I think what that's saying is his term
Oh,
That's what I was trying to say, you were taking over
on
that term.
2020.
His term was
2020.
2021.
So let's,
Okay.
let's update that to you were initially appointed on November 15th, 2022 but we're not referencing the 2022-28 resolution because you were reappointed by the 2020.
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, that resolution number, I'm
November
sure is
15th, 2020.
correct.
And that's just the first appointed date, and we're leaving the resolution the same,
Yes.
right? Okay. Okay.
I can double check the 2024.
I think that's right, Lisa.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, that was obnoxious.
You remember November, that's
You
pretty
guys did a
good.
great job finding that. So-
All right, no further discussion, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you. All right, let's move on. Minutes review and approval of the January 6, 2026 City Council minutes. I was going to ask if some of you have changes. Councilman Bangeter has passed some changes that he's suggesting along to you that you want to go over these with them.
I passed out a sheet to each of you. I've got one more copy here, Jennifer. I don't think we had quite enough.
I have an extra
Oh, you got
one.
one?
We gave
Brent
him,
Okay, you
handed
had
me
one.
his.
I shared it with her.
Okay, there you go. I somehow got two, so.
Okay, council members, I'll just identify a few things here based on the agenda item line. The first, in our open session, we had a presentation by Heather Taylor. I would just like that we include her actual written and submitted suggestions as an attachment to those official minutes. They weren't read, they're referred to. I just like them as part of the official record. The open and public meetings training, and I just want to identify, that was a 2-line item on our draft notes here. We talked for an hour and well over an hour. And I'm concerned, I'll identify again, about the statute that identifies that we should be providing reasonable specificity on our agendas and that we should be providing substantive documentation on anything discussed in a council meeting. I think we can improve a little on that. You know my position. I think we can be too careful with brevity and exclude some of the transparency, some of the public information. I don't see a drawback to having minutes a little bit longer. I think with AI, you can have that generated initially and done so quickly, tell it so many words, and then of course that would need to be edited and approved and corrected. But I don't want to suggest this and have Jennifer think she's going to take hours upon hours more to make our minutes perhaps a little more inclusive. But I think we can improve. I have some property in Kaysville. Looking at the minutes of their meetings, comparing them with several compared to Centerville, most of the minutes on their meetings, and I've got the copies here if you wanted to look at them, but are like, in their 3-hour meeting, the minutes are 24 pages long and 17 pages in another. We had a 3-hour meeting with 2 pages. And then in their shorter meetings, they had a 5-page minutes of a 45-minute meeting. We had a 45-minute meeting, and it was 2 pages as well. Other cities are providing a little more documentation. For the official, I know we have the recordings. I'd love how Jennifer even orients you to the number of minutes in that recording, but I think official is pretty critical. I think that it's helpful, and so enough of my soapbox on that. With that being said, on that particular item, I would like to include the comments of a particular question that was referred to in those minutes. It just says, and questions were addressed. This was a particularly informative point, and at least 3 of us commented regarding that. I've documented that here from the second paragraph in red. I would recommend that I don't think I need to read it to you, right? You've got it there in front of you. Or should I, for the record? I don't know.
It's okay.
Okay. The third one on minutes, I'd like to make a clarification, and please, I need some direction here, council. To be accurate and clarify, on the one point when we seconded, the motion was seconded, and it's identified in our notes that it passed unanimously 5-0. Accurately, it passed 4-0, and I am supportive, but Councilmember Bangeter abstained. I did not vote because the mayor didn't ask for a roll call vote. He asked for a vote by voice, and I didn't say yay when we can't. I didn't say nay because I was planning on abstaining because I wasn't at the meeting that we were passing. Actually, I was at the meeting, but I wasn't participatory. I wasn't an official member of the council. So I felt uncomfortable approving minutes, voting to do that when I had no participation in that meeting. So I just like that to be clarified, just easy, passed 4-0 instead of 5-0 with my abstention. But I realized I made a mistake by not identifying I was abstaining before the vote. And I don't know, and then as it ended, we moved quickly on to the other one. I'm kind of like, deer in the headlights, and I didn't correct that, but that's my point. And then, as you see in my black writing there, I welcome some direction on protocol regarding whether or not a council member should vote if that council member was not present nor participatory in a meeting for which official meeting minutes are being approved. Lisa, do you have some direction on that?
Yes, the members of the board can approve the minutes whether you were there or not. I see your hesitancy when you weren't, officially sworn in or, just sworn in, but you are now on the council, on this board, and so, yes, you can, because you're just administratively approving the minutes. So sometimes people will say, hey, I want to abstain, I wasn't at that meeting. No, we actually prefer that you vote on the minutes.
Well,
The minutes show that you weren't there, but you can approve them as a body, because we need a quorum to approve them.
I was
But
gonna
how
say.
can you
and-
approve them if you weren't there and you don't know what was said?
But you still, let's consider on the flip side, when the three of you ran, if you were all new people, we wouldn't have a quorum
wouldn't be
to
able to
approve
vote.
the minutes.
Right.
So I think, I agree with Lisa, that's why. And I do think it's also, I mean, you're not approving whether you agreed with anything either. I mean, you're just
But you're
saying,
saying
I
they're
have,
accurate, I just didn't know.
Yeah, you are.
I have always seen
Your
people,
opinion that it's accurate, yeah.
I've always seen people
Right.
abstain from them before, said, oh, I wasn't here last week, or I wasn't, I mean, I've seen that a lot. I just, like I said.
it as well, but I have, she's not the only one that's directed and said, no, it's okay if you weren't there. I mean, I feel like if I've missed a meeting, I'm typically going back and listening to the recording anyway, so that doesn't make me terribly uncomfortable, because if you've listened to the meeting and the minutes.
Yeah, as long as you've
That's
listened
a
to the
good
Yeah.
meeting.
So I mean, I do get what you're saying. I get it's a little awkward, but I think that the issue is there could be a problem in, you know, if we had three brand-new council members come on, we don't have a quorum to approve them, ever.
I appreciate Councilman Baker asking Lisa her opinion on this, though, because
Yeah.
I don't vote here, but on the other boards I'm on, when I'm approving minutes, it's always a yay or nay vote. It's not a roll call vote, and I have always abstained if I've missed a meeting, just thinking, how can I vote on these if I wasn't at that meeting? So,
So you would have the
Don't
mayor.
mention on the record that you've abstained. There's no record of the abstention.
that's true.
Right.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
need to, if you are abstaining from the vote, and if the mayor doesn't, you know, because usually minutes are, all in favor, aye, you know, any opposed? At that point, you know, none opposed, but Mayor, I'd like to abstain.
But to what Gina said, we would have the mayor, so if we only had two, he could step in and vote on that.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Only in the place
Anyway,
that it's high.
yeah, it's the body's minutes, and anyway, technically, yes, you're now performing this body's business, and part of the business is approving the minutes.
Okay?
Okay.
And if you're uncomfortable, you know, go back and listen to it,
And I like
so
that.
you know.
That's a good idea, yeah.
And if you're extremely uncomfortable, you can abstain, but it's not really correct procedure.
Okay, on appointments, again, it was just noted the specific appointment. We did have some discussion on that, because I'd asked for some clarification how that works. I really liked how the mayor identified how he does that. And in our campaign stuff, people were asking how to get involved, how do you become a member of a committee or whatnot. I kind of like that being in our official minutes. I can point his explanation to people who are interested, and that's helpful to me. So I do want one clarification regarding that. So when a citizen applies, it sends an application in for a position, Mayor, is it only your eyes who that's allowed to see that?
With Bamboo, it's changed a little bit. Who else? Jennifer sees it. Who else sees
Goes
it?
to me
Jennifer?
and Bryce, and then I forward it to you.
Yeah.
I
So,
just wonder when the council are the ones who approve it, you have shared the one that you're going to appoint, but we have no
Yes.
idea if there were 5 others that, one of which might have been a really good choice in our opinion. There's no, or we can't say, oh, so-and-so applied for planning commission, man, I'm on the Whitaker Museum and, you know, the mayor didn't appoint him there, I'd like to reach out to him and have him try for Whitaker. I see some utility to the members of the council who appoint them, who vote to appoint them, having some access to the applications.
yeah, obviously when those come in, I'll look at each one. Sometimes there's not spots available for what they might be interested in. Sometimes I would call them and say, hey, there's not a spot available here, but there's a spot available on another committee. Sometimes I'm not always great at getting back to them. I'm calling them 6 months later saying, hey, there's a spot available, and I notice your volunteer application. I do keep, I move them all to a separate file, volunteers, is what I call it. And so I can, boom, go to that at any time. And there's been some times in the past that somebody's applying for something and they don't qualify for it, you know, I mean.
Sure.
I've interviewed somebody for something and there's just no way that they'll work for that position. So try and find them something else so no, you're not seeing every application that comes forward. And what you get is after I've interviewed somebody and feel if they're a good candidate, and I bring it to you to put on a city council agenda.
I don't remember when I was first put on, but I know they used to give us, every so often, we would get like a stack of the applications. I don't know, I don't have my, do you remember, like Lisa, I mean, did they used to give them out to the I don't remember. I just remember going home with a stack of applications and looking over them. And I don't, seem like somebody said, well, that way if you know somebody and you think they'd be good, you'd let them know to the mayor, or if you know a reason they shouldn't be, you'd let the mayor know before he had asked them, but I can't remember exactly.
And I think this is why we were trying to make a distinction about voting for the mayor pro tem, which is clearly a vote and a decision of the city council, versus these appointments. And I'm just talking about city committees, not the ones by resolution for those, but it's the mayor suggests the person that he would like for that position, and then it's with the advice and consent of the council. So in my opinion, technically, the mayor doesn't have to send all of these. Certainly, if that's something internally, this city wants to prepare a protocol or something that you can see who, has applied. These are public records. I mean, you can find that out, but I don't think that it's necessary or required under the mayor's authority for this process.
I tend to feel like that is under the mayor's purview, just in we have various roles, right? And I feel like that is the mayor's job to appoint and bring those. I appreciate that he brings them to us for confirmation, but I do feel like that's his role.
Like I said, I didn't have it one way or the other. I just remember getting these, and I do remember we had one controversial, I think that happened after we had somebody that was, and it wasn't with this mayor. They were brought to us, and there was a couple of council members that are like, I'm not comfortable with this. But at that point, it was pretty awkward, and that's why he sent us our names first, so that's taking care of that. We're not just,
Like I sent you one today for 2 weeks from now for trails, and I try and get them in advance, at least enough in advance, like agenda in advance, because it's on the agenda, or even before that, so I can get some feedback from it. But if I don't get any feedback, then I'm hoping to cross my fingers that you're going to approve the name I bring forward.
I think you've done a great job.
So
You understand my point, though. Maybe without looking at their whole application, if we're maybe aware that these 3 people in the last 6 months have applied for a planning commission, Whitaker, it might be helpful to us. I've suggested to some people to volunteer for some committees through this campaign, and they've asked for opportunity. I've suggested some opportunities. I'm a little embarrassed to not know whether they did, and being a member of the council, suggesting they do it, and then 6 months from now, they say, I applied, I didn't get appointed. I understand that, okay, but I didn't even know about it. I'm sorry I asked you, and please know that it was, it's just, there's a little awkwardness. And so I totally appreciate it. It's the mayor's appointment. It's his job, and then we approve or don't approve. But.
And obviously, personality dependent, right? But I get what you're saying. Like, you go out and solicit some help, and then you want to maybe. I have found that the people that I've asked for, like I've said, hey, have you ever thought about applying for this? They're pretty vocal with me after and say, hey, I applied for that. So I think you'll find that if they put the application in, they'll probably tell you, but I do agree that could be personality type, may not, but, I typically, and I usually, if I know someone's gonna apply, I tell the mayor, I'll say, hey, I think so-and-so's gonna apply for this committee. So I think, I don't know. I'm fine with however it needs to be done, but
Okay. Well, and I'm sorry we got a little off of the minutes themselves, approval, but with that bit of a discussion. But then the last one would just be, when Brent was talking about our overnight possibility of a council retreat. And Councilman Meekum, this is kind of up to you, but I threw in there, I would have included that there was some reservation, as identified there from her. But, so, do any of you have any questions about my suggested additions?
so I'm fine with the additions, of course, but, I do think, so I'm an engineer, as you know, and I probably fought for more detail on these minutes too, as well. But what I discovered in that, so I'm pushing back a little bit, not because I think the discussion, these points aren't important, but, sometimes I found that sometimes still details were missed, or, it's not a verbatim minutes. And so, for example, I'm just looking at the one where it says, Councilmember Meekum voiced some concerns and reservations, but we don't necessarily address that were other council members fine with the retreat? You know what I mean? You miss context is what I'm concerned about. So my opinion on the minutes is what really matters in the minutes is what the vote was, right? Was the resolution passed? Was the ordinance passed? And by what margin? Who approved it, who dissented? So for me, I've kind of come to the conclusion that because we do have the recorded meeting, it really is better for people to go listen to it so they can come to their own conclusion. I just found when we were doing them a little more detailed that sometimes I felt like context was left out of the minutes. How do we do these now? Is this an AI program that is summarizing this?
I use AI to help me draft the minutes, but it's a team effort between me and AI, so.
Yes, yeah. I'm not opposed to more detail. I found that constantly I was like saying, well, we left out this. Somebody said this or that, and I'm thinking to myself, sometimes a sentence or two does not convey the 90 minutes of public frustration on an issue. That's where I'm just saying devil's advocate. I'm not opposed to what you're saying.
Maybe we can come to agreement on these tonight, but I would like to, if not now, in a quick work session, to know what our recorder's trained to do at her sessions that she goes to.
Okay.
And what we're required by law to have in our minutes. I could see Rick's feeling some, and I could say you're feeling as well too, because you start singling out individual council members and what Robbins or Councilmember Meekum said about something. What about somebody else that was okay with it?
Yeah, and so I know they're all aware they can watch the video, but this would allude to, I feel like this alludes to, okay, well, they must not have done it because of this, but I'm going, I don't know that we got everybody's opinion in there, so.
Because I want to know if there's any law, and if we're meeting the law, number one, and we send her to trainings, she could tell us that, or Brent and Lisa could probably help as well too. What we're covering in meeting the requirements of the law, and then outside of that, what do we want to include more than that? Minutes by itself means it's minutes. It's not the 4 hours we spent, it's minutes of those 4 hours. So
Here the statute says, I've got it right here.
Okay.
It says including the substance of all matters proposed, discussed, or decided by the public body after substantiating the vote and the discussion. That's what the statute says. So to just do what the resolution was in the vote, if there was any discussion, that seems non-compliant with the statute.
And I haven't looked at Kaysville's minutes that he just referenced to, but I know that the 4 or 5 other committees I serve on, ours are as detailed or more detailed than any other committees I serve on, with Wasatch Integrated Waste Management, the Fire Board, and all those as well too, so.
And I do understand
It's
that some minutes, some cities are gonna go the extra mile, some are gonna be shorter. And I know there can be a happy ground in between, and that's
And with
my
that said, I think that including, especially in areas like where we have the open session and people have written material that they provide us, I think that we cannot see that on the video.
I agree.
And so I think
Now-
that is important to include into the minutes and the agenda, or the minutes.
And I do agree. I don't know what protocol is, so I want to ask Lisa's opinion on that, but actually, I did feel that way too. I do think that it would be nice to have those attachments to the minutes, just because then it's really easy to go back to that meeting and go, oh, here's, instead of shuffling through my papers and trying, was it this one, or is it in an email? So, but what's the protocol on that, Lisa? Can you kind of, we've got to lean to what you're, what you think if we're meeting the standard or not, and where we've gone too far or not.
Yeah, I think some of these are the decision of the body. I think the statutes do say, though, that if somebody brings some digital information and provides it to us, then we need to include that as part of the record. But we don't consistently attach a bunch of stuff to our minutes, because then they're going to get very lengthy. And it's a summary of the business that we conducted. And so I'm not saying that we haven't, and I think Councilmember Bangerter has brought up that the statute also says any other information that a board member or council member requests be included in the minutes. But again, the minutes are to reflect the substance in brief of what occurred, which is not a verbatim of all the attachments that we get requested to be included in our minutes. So again, it's up to the body, but I would not suggest doing that as a matter of course with every meeting that we get handouts, because our minutes are not going to be reflective of, our business.
With respect to the specific one about including some attachments, obviously, some members of the public could go way overboard. I saw a city that had, in their directions for their public comment session, they said, City Council strongly recommends that you present a not more than 1-page typed outline or synopsis of what you wish to present. Now, all people aren't going to be able to do that because they don't come prepared before the meeting, but I liked that idea, just limiting the amount of what they might wish to be included. Frankly, it helps them organize their outline of when they come and speak to the council, maybe minimize the time they're at the podium. And so I think there are ways to mitigate the concern about how lengthy it might be.
And I guess there's 2 public comments. I was thinking about the open session, because I think the handout that we're talking about was provided in the open session versus public comment at a public hearing or an item on the agenda that's responsive to an application. We do encourage written comments that do become part of the record. So I agree with that. I was just referring to accepting all open session printouts would be burdensome.
Okay.
And I will just say, we've talked a lot about this. You know that in the last year, I have been at the rostrum a number of times with comments. And on some occasions, I did hand out a written, one of them was 4 pages, I remember. That was overdone. But when a synopsis of that appeared in the official minutes, I identified 5 items in that two of those were covered and three were not included in the official minutes. I will be honest with you, I felt censored. I don't want other members of our public to feel like what they commented, it was pick and chose and what was identified in the official minutes that were approved by the city. So to just understand that perspective coming from personal experience and my strong desire not to have residents in the future feel that way.
All right, so, any other changes to the minutes besides what Councilman Banger proposed?
Well,
Can I just ask for a clarification? I have a couple things. And you as a body are welcome to accept or not these minutes or amend them as they've been presented or anything, but if you are inclined to include Councilmember Bangerter's suggestions, my question would be, do you want me to include them word for word as you've submitted them, or if you would give me the flexibility to still try to encapsulate these comments, but maybe change some of the wording, like, I'm just noticing a few of these are really long sentences, and if you'd be, if you
Please,
just
Jennifer.
trust me to maybe try to summarize, but still include the comments that were made.
Please.
So that's my first question, and then second, what do you want to do about the minutes vote? Because like Lisa said, we don't have on record that you abstained. So do you want me to make that change that you abstained, or are we leaving it as is? I just want to
It was
clarify.
quiet.
What I recommended was crossing out that approved unanimously and including the explanation. But Lisa, I don't know if that's legal because I didn't abstain officially.
Yeah, I guess,
And the fact of the matter is I would have, and I don't have any problem with those minutes. I just want to be accurate.
yeah.
you
I
know.
think for the first one, I mean, perhaps in the minutes, we could just say, Councilmember Bangerter did not vote, this being his first meeting or something like that. So, because it wasn't an abstention, I mean,
Yeah.
just, you did not vote.
I would agree with that, that to keep it based on the facts, you did not abstain, that you did not vote, I would agree with that change. I'm a little uncomfortable with number 5, because there was other council members, myself included, that was not necessarily expressing any reservations, and so I don't know if I feel comfortable with
Right.
singling one council member out and their particular stance on that issue.
May I propose with that? I agree. I'm a little hesitant to have this singling out council members how they feel, because you are essentially censoring, to use your terms, Councilmember Banger, if you're saying, this councilor said this, but what did the other 4 say? And we're not doing that. The minutes could read as such as there was a debate that council members were in support and council members were, and the discussion was about that, but you're not singling out, but the minutes could capture that discussion without saying that. And so if it's possible, I would say delay these minutes and give
Yeah.
Jennifer an opportunity to try and capture the debate a little bit more without singling out one idea or one person's thoughts and not mentioning the rest.
That is exactly my concern about this, because I do think it makes it somewhat political, and I don't think that minutes should, I'm going back to what Lisa's saying, it should encapsulate the decisions that were made on the items, and that to me is covered. I'm looking at some of the other cities' minutes as we're having this discussion, and I'm not seeing, I mean, Kaysville might have longer minutes, but we're not out of line. And I'm really worried that this changes when we miss the context of what everyone said, we run the risk that we have not conveyed the correct message. And I do want to, Rick, to your point that you felt censored, you were not censored. We let you speak, and that was where it was recorded, was in that recorded session. I don't think we do have to include every single thing you put in your written document. I still have that document in my folder, and So I, just respectfully, I don't think you were at all censored. You were given all of the time that you needed to express your concerns. So I think we need to convey that to the public, that they do get to come and talk. I think that the mayor has been very good about that level of transparency and allowing people to come in here and to state their concerns. And I've seen public meetings where they cut you off after 2 minutes, or you have to get in line and hope you can get a chance to say something. So I don't think that, I think that is really not a fair statement to say that you were censored.
I didn't say I was censored, I said I felt censored.
Well,
Please.
but you weren't, because you, I mean, I get what you're saying, but you weren't, you were given every opportunity to present.
So I don't vote on these, but I would make a suggestion then, so we can, I personally see that 1 and 3, there's valid points. Like, I'm not saying there's not valid points in 2, 4, and 5 either, but I think that extensive detail when we say we're just mentioning what one council person said, not everybody, and maybe, like somebody suggested, that Jennifer just go through and maybe try and capture the feeling of what was said better than, but I start getting hesitant at bringing up every individual and what was said, and not bringing up the other individuals.
That's my,
So, but you guys gotta,
can I make,
You gotta
can I
make a
just make a
motion, some
motion
sort
that
of
we
motion.
table the minutes for now and let Jennifer take a look at it and see if there's some in between, get a little more detail, but with that direction that we don't necessarily want to state what every single council person said? Is that, can I make that motion? Is that-
Do we need to move, or can we just table with that direction? I don't care, I'm happy to second it.
I think a motion's helpful.
I'll second.
all right, motion to second, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Let's go, move on to, there it is. Item 2, appointments. Okay, I have one appointment for you tonight. This is Blair Parrish, who I sent you his volunteer application sheet to you, to the Whitaker Museum Board. We have a motion for that appointment.
I'll make a motion to approve the appointment of Blair Parrish to the Whitaker Museum Board.
Second.
I'll give it to Gina.
Sorry.
I will
May have it too.
defer.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, let's go. This is one of our quarters. We're halfway through the year. And Nate was waiting back there, ready to bring out some highlights for us.
Mostly highlights, right?
And as I would point out, especially for Councilman Bangeter, if you haven't already heard me say this before, Nate does a good job the city council a while back decided that he would present every quarter, but every month we would give you a report, but he does a great job, whether he's reporting or not reporting, of putting those boxes of some highlighted areas. And I always give you a chance, even on those months he doesn't report, if you have any questions for him. But when he does report, he not only has those, but he has the flexibility to bring up whatever else he wants. So Nate, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. So as Mayor mentioned, we're halfway through our fiscal year. And I think overall, we're in pretty good shape. Jennifer, can you pull those up for us?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I can't connect to the TVs with this new computer. So going on to the next page.
Sorry, I'm going to open this up in a different page.
Perfect. This is our cash position by fund. Just a couple items to note here. You'll see the big jump in cash in our general fund. That was in large part due to the fact that we got most of our property tax revenue in December. So that's why you see the big jump there. And then last time I presented, I talked about the parks fund, that we need $400,000 to cover our bond payment in that fund. We're at 238,000 right now, but I think we're in good shape to reach that 400,000. But we're still keeping an eye on that. All right, we can go to the next page and look at our general fund revenues. Or, sorry, the page after that. As I mentioned before, we got our majority of our property tax revenue, 1.6 million last month. Just to note that in January, we've already received, I think it was 453,000. So we've received the vast majority of our property tax. The rest will trickle in through the remainder of the fiscal year. Looking at sales tax, we are at.
Is that because people paying late or just the county or state or whoever getting it to you slow?
No, it's just the timing of when they pay it. So property taxes are due in November. So then we get the money the following month in December. But then if they make a late payment in December, then we won't get it until January and so forth. So the majority of what we get for the remainder of the year will be.
So you feel confident that the governmental entity that's supposed to be getting you the money gets you the money?
Yeah.
They're not holding on to it, it's because people pay late.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're holding on to it. I think
Okay, because we want to come down on them if they're holding them.
yeah, no, I think they're doing great.
Nate,
Yes.
on the sales tax, looks like we're sitting about 53% of what you anticipated. How does that compare to other years? I know you're very conservative about your estimates there. That's, to me, I'm going, that's not a lot more than, I know you try to maybe conservatively underestimate just a hair.
Yeah, no, I think we're doing okay. Sales tax has been very, I don't know if unpredictable is the right word, but sporadic, I guess. Some months we do a lot better than we did comparing to a year ago, and other months we're way worse.
Wow.
And there's not really a rhyme or reason that we can figure out of why it's doing that. Now, generally, our biggest revenue month pertains to the Black Friday, Christmas shopping season, which we won't get. Sales tax is 2 months behind. So to be over 50% through the year without hitting our biggest sales tax months is a good sign. Last year, I think we ended up at around 5.6, 5.7 million, if I remember right. So I think we're right on track to do similar.
Okay.
Just for budgeting and preparation, so we budget sales tax. I mean, historically, you've been able to increase it by 3% or so every year and feel comfortable with that number. But during COVID, with the influx of all this COVID money, CARES Act money, all these payments people received, there was this huge spending at construction at Home Depot, Colonial, and people weren't taking trips because they weren't. So we saw this huge jump. We went from like 4.8 to 5.7 million in 1 year, but all that spending. So now we can't really predict what it's, so we've always been really conservative. So we've kept it at 5.5 million the last 2 years, and that's going to be more than likely our proposal for next fiscal year. Again, because we don't want to take any chances that it's not going up. So we're going to continue to remain conservative. So that's currently where we're at right now.
May I point out one aspect too? It's interesting how things affect our economy. The lack of snow in the Wasatch Front this year, we have a major sales tax contributor in Young Power Sports. They have sold almost 0 snowmobiles. And now this far into the season without snow coming, they're scared to death about their revenue, their inventory. And things like just the weather can affect us dramatically. Something we might want to plan a little conservatism for this year with the impact of weather.
I have a question on, it says I'm on the right line. It says our property taxes are at 222%. I don't understand. I'm sure there's a reason why that's so high.
Percentage budget used, do you see where she's saying?
Yeah, on the property taxes due. So those are the late payments of property taxes. So that would be property taxes that were due in a prior year that they have now paid. So those are a little hard to estimate.
the budget for?
It looks like you budgeted 50,000, but we've just
Okay.
received.
Yeah. so we-
Okay, so I couldn't figure out where they were, but that's the past due ones.
Yeah, those are
Okay.
just past due.
All right. And then I had one other question, it was, oh, I'm concerned about, oh, no, I wanted to say, I was happy to see that our courts, our fines and our forfeitures are up at 58%, because there for a while, our court wasn't doing so well, so I'm happy to see that that's,
Yeah, no, they struggled for a couple of years that the general fund was subsidizing the court.
I'm glad we're not having to subsidize it.
Yeah, it switched last year to where they were able to put some money back into the general fund, and they're on track to do the same thing this year. So, yeah. Overall revenues in the general fund, we're at 7.4 million, so that's slightly higher than we were at this point last year. So again, I think we're in a good spot. Going on to general fund expenses, overall, we're under budget, just 47% of our budget spent. So again, I think overall the general fund is in a really good spot right now.
May I ask, the Trails Committee's over, what is,
Yeah, they bought a trailer
oh, that's right. Okay, thank you.
that, yeah, put them over a little bit, but you'll see some departments are higher than the 50% mark. Those are the ones I've underlined, but none of them are over by a large dollar amount. Even the Trails Committee is a big percentage because they have such a small budget, but the dollar amount is fairly small.
Do you have any concerns about, like, for example, those that are over, can you look at it and go, oh, well, there were these expenses and that's,
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'm assuming community events is probably partially like 4th of July was part of it, and that's a big expense right at the front of the year.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, is timing goes into it a lot. So that's a great example, that you have our biggest event of the year happens 3-4 days into our fiscal year. So obviously, they're going to be over the percentage-wise, over budget for a little bit. But yeah, so like that, we know what's going on. I'm not worried about it. I'm really not worried about any of these departments. They're all pretty online and where they should be, so. Yeah. Moving on to our RDA fund, just remind you that we'll receive the tax increment payments probably by the end of March, possibly the beginning of April. So that's why our revenues are so low there. Recreation fund, both revenues and expenses are up a little bit from last year, and right now we have net income. So yeah, we'll keep watching that, but doing okay right now. Our RAP tax, you'll see that we've basically got equivalent from last year. We're up about $2,000 from this point last year. Again, those are reflective of only sales that occur in Centerville. So it's good to see our local businesses are doing about the same as they were last year, slightly better. Going down to our Parks Improvement Fund, we touched on this, that we kind of had to put a pause on our spending. That's why our expenses are so low. We just want to make sure that we can cover that bond payment, and once we know that we're going to get that, then we'll see about doing some of the other projects, but we've kind of put those on pause for now to help our cash balance. Our capital projects fund, we've only spent, again, these are one-time expenses, but we've only spent 39% so far, so I would expect to see the rest of those expenses coming in the second half of the year. Transportation fund, total revenue, we're slightly higher than last year by about 50,000. So again, a big chunk of that is related to sales tax. So yeah, we're doing great in the transportation fund. Going down to the water fund, the big news this quarter was that we got our first grant payment for the water tank, the Oak Ridge water tank. I also want to note that what you see there, the 141,000 that we got, that was our first reimbursement request. We have received a second one that we received in January, so that's why you don't see it reflected here. And then our third reimbursement request is on the desk of the EPA. So we're getting our reimbursements. It's taking a little bit time-wise, but they're coming in.
What's the lag on that? Like, how long was it from first request to this 141,000 being received?
The first request wasn't bad. It was like a couple weeks, probably.
We had government shutdown, so,
Second request, we had the government shutdown, so that was months.
yeah.
So we're a little bit behind.
And I think that's put them all behind.
It's been a little confusing, even on the first request. The training lied, and
Yeah.
then they had to get retrained, I guess.
Yeah,
It lied, huh?
their training told me to request it one way, and I did, and then they rejected it and said, no, you
do
need
it
to
the
do
right
it this way. And I was like,
What, what percentage complete are we on the, like, how much has been, is this accurate? This expenditures represents the 3 pay requests? Or is that's probably more because it's other things besides the tank, right?
Yeah, there's gonna be other things besides the tank. It is a pretty good chunk of it. I think we're probably close to $1 million in expenditures, total expenditures, if I had to guess.
Getting
So
close to 50,
halfway, yeah.
50%, okay.
All right. Sanitation fund, just wanted to point out that the diversion rebate that we've been getting for recycling continues to do well. So again, wanted to applaud all the Centerville residents who are recycling correctly, because that gets us a good rebate, which helps us keep our rate from increasing despite our service rate increases. So we appreciate that. And then going on to our drainage, I just highlighted that our operating revenues are exceeding our expenditures. So we're doing good there and trying to save up for some bigger projects in the future. So Mayor, that is all I have prepared.
Thank you, Nate. Any questions for Nate on that? Good report. Thanks for staying on top of all that, Nate.
Thank you.
All righty, let's go to council report. It's Councilmember Hayman's turn.
Thank you, Mayor. I know I've taken grief for this in the past, but I am confident right now that there are no mosquitoes flying. I'm just going to say that.
I swear I got a mosquito bite.
No!
I'm not kidding.
No!
Like, where did that come from?
Come on, man, it is so cold. I'm
I-
confident
I-
that they are all like dormant.
You're
They
breeding
have
them
to
in your
be
home at
right,
this point.
But I swear I've had allergies the last day or two, too.
On the mosquito abatement front, the one thing I just want to report on, so Gary Hatch is the executive director. He's actually been with the Davis Mosquito Abatement District since June of 1983. He's been there for almost 43 years. He is sadly retiring. I have never met anyone, well, okay, to be fair, I have never met really anyone who is knowledgeable about mosquitoes, but I have certainly never met anyone who is as knowledgeable about mosquitoes and killing mosquitoes as Gary Hatch.
He's been with the board
Yes.
he's been with Mosquito Bay, but not the head of it the whole time.
Not the head of it, but he has been with that
That's-
organization
that's
since June
amazing.
of 1983.
Yeah.
He is really incredible. He goes around the country, he speaks at mosquito abatement conferences. Yes, there is such a thing where they get together and they talk about all the states on how to deal with these things. Anyway, he is retiring. I'm very sad. He's planning on his last day being April 1. We are interviewing for a new executive director. We've got some great applications. But I'm really, really appreciative of all of the efforts and being able to benefit from his knowledge. I had no idea how much the Mosquito Abatement District did until I stepped onto their board. So I have a new level of appreciation for killing mosquitoes, and I certainly respect the heck out of Gary Hatch. So that is my report. And if anyone finds mosquitoes, just squash them.
Is it the board that chooses the new executive director?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, anybody have anything pressing?
Mayor, I don't know where to report this, but is this the section city council report, I just want to identify, I was bombarded with residents on Sunday going to church about an issue we have on 3rd East and 3rd South. There's a big dip in the rain gutter, not the rain gutter, in the street gutter, where the asphalt's higher and buses, and because the traffic's been diverted from 4th East, that's where a lot of the traffic is going up there. And there's been a lot of vehicle damage. There's a very unsightly sign warning people that I think the neighbor on the corner's put up to say, slow down, protect your car or whatnot. I don't know, there were a lot of people approached me Sunday, I felt really bad, and I went over and looked at it. And I know there's no, do we have some signs, Mike, that we could put up, caution, major bump ahead, or something to mitigate that a little bit? And then how long is that going to be the case?
I think it's, open now, I think you can go down there, you can go anywhere you want to go. The 4th South is open. If you come over the road.
Sunday, it was, well, the sign was open, but 3rd East was the street they were diverting on.
You know what, I think he's right. The detour did move when I went along 400 East today, it had moved south of Porter Lane. I know what you're talking about, though. It was bad.
Just before Mike comes up, staff is aware of this. We've met a number of times. So we are dealing with a number of claims as well. So we're happy to get you any information you'd like, but
Okay,
that's the status.
okay.
And
Then
it was exaggerated, I think, yes, having the detour go that way on the road with people that were not used to it was unfortunate, so.
And even without a detour, that's an issue that hopefully we can improve that.
It's a big deal. I mean, if you really stop and think about it, if I could go out and fix everything that is a problem like that, we don't have enough funds, period. I mean, so it's kind of like we discussed in the meeting, when we redo 3rd South, that'll all totally change. So when we rebuilt that, I can't remember when I just said that was, like 90, do you remember what I said?
It's 30 years.
So about, 30 years ago, that was a standard. That's just how it was. So if we did it again, say we had it on the project for this year, we would go in, take all the asphalt out and totally redo it. And there'd be everything taken down. We go down to 2.5 inches, 3 inches, and there would be a flat, smooth spot. But it's just bringing up to standard as you move forward. As we do roads right now, we look at all the infrastructure that's in the ground. And then from there, we look at all the infrastructure above the ground, curb, gutter, sidewalk, what have you. And we try to bring it totally up to our standard at this point. So the problem that I expressed to Brant and them, it's like, how do you go back and fix everything that's a problem in town? We would never have enough money to do so. And I agree with you that it's a problem. I sat there and watched the intersection. But in the beginning, the road closure was set up to turn there. When we noticed the problem, we made them go down to Main Street. So you turned off 4th East, you're supposed to go down to Main Street, get onto Main Street, and you totally avoided that.
It wasn't that way the whole time.
What's that?
It wasn't that way the whole time. There was a detour at one point.
Yeah, that's what I
that
said.
would
So
force
at the
them.
beginning, it was set up to go across 3rd East. Then we noticed a problem. We wanted to shut the gate, so to speak, and have them go all the way to Main Street.
Ultimately, where we are, Councilmember Bangerter, is if there's any information or claims or anybody wants to have a conversation, it's a case by case. I mean, there's so many extenuating circumstances with that, that, again, if they submit a claim, then we'll review the case by case. But that's kind of where we are with this
If they
intersection.
call and they're missing anything, the nice neighbor has it all up there in his wheelbarrow out by the curb, and they're welcome to go pick it up.
And Mike, I do fully appreciate, we have so many more problems than we can fix with our limited budget. But obviously, we can also prioritize the worst ones to maybe address sooner, budget for them. We've got a budget coming up, we'll look at those kind of things. But I wondered if, like, I'm no engineer, but I wondered if it would be extremely expensive to redo the asphalt, lower the utility penetrations there, and I totally get that, but is there something in a real serious one like that? Could we put a metal culvert across that, the top of it?
Well, our standard doesn't allow a metal culvert, so
Yeah,
be
so there's,
breaking your
again,
standard.
there's, give us $3 million, let's increase double property taxes, and we'll fix all this stuff. I mean, not all of it, we'll knock out 10%. There's just challenges all over, and there's a certain level of risk that's accepted, right? But each claim is different, whether if someone's zooming through there at 40 miles per hour when they shouldn't be, then there's gonna be significant damage to their vehicle because they're not taking proper care. So again, I would encourage us to somewhat move on from this conversation unless we want to have a conversation in a closed session to go in a little bit more deep. But duly noted, we have met as staff and we recognize that, and that's what we've discussed is the standard and what was the history of this area. But you see this not all over, just, you know, you don't see it just in Centerville, you see it in many cities. I was driving through many cities and that you see these type of construction. And you have to take responsibility and care when you're especially going through a stop sign. You shouldn't be zipping through and people are in a hurry because they have to be detoured and case by case. I mean, that's ultimately what we're at now is we get a claim, we look at it case by case and evaluate the principles of it. It's going to be expensive to fix everything, whether it's water, you know, streets, parks.
But
We've got a lot.
I don't admire what you have to do. In the old days, you just close down a road and people would have to find their way around it. Now you keep it open and try and do construction and let people through. I mean, we're a spoiled lot of people nowadays, you know. We have perfect roads almost, and I would say we do have, if you remember, Councilman Banger, you probably haven't seen it. We have a list that Kevin and Mike worked on putting together of road projects and what's coming down the pipeline. I mean, if you want to get that back out again, then it'll help people see what we have. What?
And sidewalks, I mean.
Yeah, what we have
So many areas we'd love to address.
prioritized, and the council says, yeah, makes sense, so.
I'd probably just say one last thing, and I won't say any more, but the thing is too, is if, that wasn't fun.
Good.
Okay, it was. Anyway, so the bottom line is this, if we wouldn't have been doing anything on Fourth West, we wouldn't even be talking about, or excuse me, Fourth East, we wouldn't even be talking about it, because the residents that use that and have used it over all these years know what's going on, and now we turn and floodgate open to all these people that are trying to, I mean, I've sat there and I watched and I go, I can't believe how fast they're going over that bump. I mean, they don't even hit the stop sign on the FR side before they come through and they're zipping through. So the big thing is the normal residents know exactly what's going on and have known what's going on for many times, and we would never be talking about this other than we're doing the project.
And
so it
appreciate the
opens
natural
up.
speed bump to some extent, right? It's a natural speed bump.
So,
Well, I agree with that because I drive that road all the time.
It's
And
true.
I wouldn't have even told you because I know it's there and I just slow down. I mean, because it's a road that I drive all the time and I just know it's there. So when everybody talks about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I do slow down right there. So that is the problem, is that the local people that drive it all the time know it's there and they just slow down, and you bring in people that don't, and they were going super fast.
I would be happy if we closed it down or all the walkers on Third East. They would love that if we just closed all of Third East. Saying,
I'm one of those.
there we go, there's your alternative.
That's why he's saying it, because he knows I walk 30s.
Mike, really quickly, while you're up here, just really quickly, because I have had a lot of questions about this one too, but just remind me of the timeline. What is this supposed to, when is this construction supposed to end? And this is for the Fourth East project.
Well, the whole project as a whole paved and done, or just Dual Creek Irrigation having their
The Dual
project?
Creek irrigation portion of this.
Well, they're heading down, there should be, I think, maybe to 6 South probably by the end of the week. So they're chugging along, they're moving good. And then from there, then we'll start coming in. We've got a couple sewer lines that we're working with the sewer district to fix, or we'll end up fixing them because we don't want to dig up the roads. One of them is the Jeremy Gadd's address, because it runs on a 45 and he's had problems, so we're gonna fix a few things, but
So Fourth East we're going to see closures on Fourth East for,
well, and we take the learning lesson, right? So maybe to the point is you shut Third East down. If when we come in and start doing the road work, we'll probably just shut it down completely, close the road other than local traffic. I mean, we learn these lessons and we try to move forward with them, so.
What is the time frame on the reconstruction on 400 East?
Well, it depends. That's a loaded question because depending on the, we haven't even got the contractor on board. The state's kind of giving us a little bit of a hard time because we might have to go out and have a different engineer do the design work. So there's a lot of things out there. I think, we're talking probably, I mean, I would hope that we're done by June, but there's no way you could guarantee that one.
Okay.
Thanks, Mike. All right, mayor report. Thank you, everybody that participated in the volunteer dinner. It was a nice dinner. Those that weren't able to come, we missed you. A couple days after that, I went to an event at South Davis Metro Fire Service. They had a dinner too. They were their annual awards dinner, and that was a nice dinner. And it had some somber moments too, as they spoke about some losses they had during the year with an officer. LPC, that'll start in earnest this coming Monday. Councilwoman Hirsch showed you a listing of kind of what we get each week. As I said before, everybody's willing to listen into that. I think Brant sent you the link. Parks and Rec open house. They had an open house last week. I popped in near the end of it. That Parks and Rec board is very active. You're probably seeing signs around town. I was a little disappointed when they told me that only 4 residents showed up. I want to be sensitive to what I'm going to say here, but it's another example of we advertise the heck out of something, and until it's actually written and starts coming forth, that's when people then jump in. I just encourage our residents, anybody that may hear this, just to please get involved in the process at the early stages as well too. We had 8 volunteers here and 4 people showed up for something as important as that, and I was really grateful for those volunteers that were here. But residents can still make comments. Those Parks and Rec committee members took those signs out. They have them around the neighborhood, so tell people to click on that QR code and get their comments in. Bruce, do you want to say something on it at all, or are you good?
There's one in my farm in front of my house.
Okay, so their chance to have input on our parks general plan. Local officials days tomorrow, and it's just going to be short. I'm going to pop down from 10 till after lunch for that. I would remind you that in our community, as I drove by the Episcopal Church the other day, and I'm meeting with their new pastor next week, that they continue to have the volunteer dinner on the 3rd Wednesday, and everyone's invited. They have a sign out that says that, so that's a nice thing that they do for the city. And then I will talk more about the chief about this fire down here. I went by that morning, but all our officers were gone, both police, and I went by about 9. They were there at 5 in the morning, I think, 5, 6 in the morning. They had 4 or 5 Paul Davis trucks there. I didn't want to disturb the owner and what he might be going through, but I didn't see any of our officers there, so. But we all were informed about that, and thanks the chief for informing Brandon and I, and Brent letting you guys know. So, I missed anything? Any questions for me? Okay, Brent, city manager report.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few items. One is the reminder of the budget retreat dates for Wednesday and Thursday, March 18th and 19th. We'll start about 5:30 and go until you don't want to go anymore. So maybe 9:30, 10. Usually the first night's longer than the second night, but you never know how the conversations go, so be prepared for that. We did make an offer officially to a code enforcement officer, right, Mike? So we had interviews. Honestly, we had some pretty great applicants. The individual hired, or offered the position to and accepted, understands the mission of really, it's more of a code compliance and less of an enforcement, and understands the goal of educating. In fact, has a lot of experience working with educating and working with people, which we're really kind of excited about. So we'll introduce you to him later, but I'm pretty excited about him. So Lisa, Mike, myself, and Dave Walker were on the interview panel for that. Lastly, the general plan, I know you just asked for this 2 weeks ago. Tomorrow or Thursday, we will have that ready for you. Chris has been working on it. So, Councilor Miko, I think you wanted it in printed form. Is there anybody else who wants it in printed form? If not, I'll email it too. Okay,
Both, if possible.
both what?
So get it printed and it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I'll email it so you have it, and then we'll print off a couple copies for you. So, again, to Mayor, your Mayor asked you to do is review that. I'll let you go through your spiel, Mayor. I don't want to speak for you, but the challenge the Mayor put forth, I guess, to review it in depth in preparation for our first meeting. Is that fair, Mayor? Did I say that right? Okay.
Do we know when that will be on the agenda?
Not yet. The Mayor, I'll defer to you all when you're ready, or when we want to have that on the agenda, and Mayor, I can work on that.
I want to be timely on it. I don't want to delay too long. Because I almost said 2 weeks ago, I'm not going to have it come forth till we've all read it, but I'm not going to do that because I don't want anybody delaying on reading it. So we'll bring it forth when it's correct. We'll bring it forth. But we'll give you enough time to get through it all.
And that's everything I have, Mr. Mayor, unless there's questions for me.
Is it possible to find out when that's going to happen? Like, a lot
Tell
of
us
times.
what day you're gone, and that's the day.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just kidding.
I have people calling me every Tuesday or Monday saying, is it on today? And I'm,
Okay.
I'm like, I will let you know, but finding out
Well,
on Friday night is maybe a little too late.
It will be before the Friday before Tuesday.
Okay, that's
Yes.
all I need, is just a few days.
If we
to
had,
get
it would be
that.
at the next meeting, but that'd be contingent upon you all. I mean, we'll have to go with Chris and get his schedule too, but as sooner or later, I would love to see in next month in at least one of the meetings.
Great, I'll be ready, you just tell me
We need to
when.
start moving forward on that.
Yeah.
Oh, and then, lastly, Councilmember Heyman sent an email, updating John Uri's, question about that, just update you all. The landscape ordinance that had been discussed, that we worked on to discuss with Weaver Basin last year, has been going through Planning Commission. They're in a third revision, but it had to take a little bit of a back seat as they focused on the general plan. So that's still a priority for Mike and staff and the Planning Commission to bring something forward for consideration with water-wise landscaping and those types of things. I don't want to go too much detail since it's not on the agenda. Just want to let you know, give you an update. It's being worked on and not forgotten. And that's all I have,
Thank you, Brad.
for real, this time.
Not aware of anything in closed session tonight, so unless there's something I've missed, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.